Do you remember what it feels like to be 15? Imagine it. Imagine breaking out before the prom, trying out for the school play, getting rejected by your crush, studying for the SATs. High school stressed you out, didn't it? Now imagine walking to the corner store and seeing your brother get gunned down by a rival gang member right before your own eyes. Imagine having 2 kids by the time you're a freshman in high school. Imagine waking up at 5 in the morning, having to get your siblings ready for school, having to catch 2 buses to not even make it there on time, having to rush out after school, catch 2 more buses to go to your job, and not getting home until 2 in the morning. Imagine watching your mom get deported. Imagine bouncing from foster home to foster home, only to face unspeakable abuses. Imagine facing those unspeakable abuses by your own parents. At New Village Girls Academy, this is a day in the life of our students. No one should have to endure this, let alone a 15-year-old kid. Bearing witness to or experiencing these tragedies can leave you with a severe case of post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD shows up in a variety of dark and destructive ways. It can leave you with a fear of forming new relationships or asking for help or expressing yourself. It can leave you with frightening flashbacks that leaves you immobilized with anxiety and constantly on edge. PTSD leaves minds and bodies in a perpetual state of hypervigilance. How on earth do we expect our young people to learn when their brains are parked chronically in the mode of fight or flight, their sole focus exclusively on survival? New Village Girls Academy focuses on wellness and healing, as well as math, English, science, and history. Our students undergo therapy and counseling, wellness workshops, hikes in nature. And there's one more thing we do. Every day, first thing in the morning and right after lunch, all the classrooms dim the lights. And students and teachers sit up, close their eyes, and practice the Transcendental Meditation technique, or the TM technique, for 15 minutes. When the lights turn on and eyes open, anxiety has melted away, and students feel refreshed, relaxed, and ready to learn, like somebody pushed the reset button on their brain. For many of our students, these 2 15-minute periods are the only times they get to experience silence. So, you're probably wondering, what is TM? Well, let me start off by telling you what it's not. It's not a religion, it's not a belief system, it's not a philosophy, it requires no change in lifestyle. Anybody can practice the Transcendental Meditation technique, from 10-year-old kids with ADHD to active duty soldiers at Fort Gordon, rabbis, priests, ministers, business executives, lawyers, doctors, the students at New Village. And you don't have to believe in it for it to work. It's just a simple, natural, effortless mental technique that allows the mind and body to quiet down, settle down, and achieve a deep level of rest, even deeper than sleep. And deep rest is the #1 ingredient that allows our minds and bodies to heal and release stress. TM is practiced twice a day, sitting up comfortably with the eyes closed. It's just that simple. Scientists first began to scrutinize the effects of TM back in the 1970s, and since then, over 400 studies have been published in prestigious scientific journals. And I'm talking good science here. I'm talking peer-reviewed studies conducted at reputable research facilities like the NIH. And all those studies overwhelmingly show that regular TM practice lowers the heart rate, reduces anxiety, relieves depression, sharpens mental focus. When you start to meditate, your brain starts to function more coherently. EEG studies indicate that during transcendental meditation, all the different parts of the brain start to work together in a more orderly fashion. Alpha wave activity spreads from the back of the brain across the prefrontal cortex. Now, this is a key point. The prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of the brain. That's where all the higher level thinking skills take place. Logic, analysis, planning, decision-making, even moral reasoning. Stress floods the prefrontal cortex with cortisol, causing it to shut down temporarily. Chronic stress shuts it down chronically. So what happens when the CEO drops the ball? The fear center, or the amygdala, takes charge. How do we expect our brains to process math, English, science, history, etc., when the fear center is in charge and the higher level thinking skills have been disengaged? It can't. It thinks it's in a wartime situation. You hear a book drop and you want to duck for cover. That's why the TM technique is such a useful tool for our students. It dampens the amygdala and enlivens the prefrontal cortex, leaving our students in a state of restful alertness, the ideal condition for learning to take place. So, back to New Village. Here we have girls that have undergone severe trauma. Many of the students are pregnant or have children, which is a huge stress on any woman, but especially a teenager without parental support. When New Village Girls Academy first opened its doors, fights broke out every day. The dropout rate greatly exceeded the average. Few students applied to or went to college. After New Village implemented the TM program, fights diminished and just about disappeared. This year we haven't had a single fight. Last year we only had one. Students come up to me and tell me that for years they've had insomnia, and for the first time in forever they can finally sleep through the night, thanks to the TM practice. One student even told me that her doctor was able to wean her off her antidepressant medication because of her regular TM practice. Last year, every single senior eligible for a 4-year university applied and got in. And acceptances ranged from UCLA to Howard University. GPAs skyrocketed, credits earned per semester went up by a lot. And let's talk about substance abuse. One of the reasons that people abuse drugs or alcohol is because they're stressed out. So it's no surprise that many of our meditators tell us that they've reduced their drug or alcohol intake. Addiction recovery programs focus on getting in touch with your higher power and self-discipline, and you essentially quit the drug cold turkey and go into recovery. But many addicts report that they still have to live with the void that the drug or alcohol filled. What I've heard from students that used to be addicts is that TM fills that void. I remember meditating with a group of girls last semester and them telling me how much better it was to meditate than to get high. There's just one more point I'd like to make, and I hope you don't mind if I get a little personal here. It regards my own experience with an eating disorder and how TM helped me recover. For years, I suffered from crippling anorexia and then bulimia. But then there was TM. Every time I meditated, it was like my head stopped exploding with fear and self-doubt and loathing. My mile-a-minute mind slowed down and allowed me to think clearly, like a thick fog had been lifted. The first week I meditated regularly, my purging went down to twice a day, which, if you know anything about anyone that's heavily bulimic, that's a huge triumph in a very short amount of time. I decided to stick with my TM practice, and I was so relieved at the peace that it brought me that I even applied for a job working as a TM guide in schools, which eventually brought me to New Village Girls Academy in Los Angeles. I work for the David Lynch Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that brings TM to high at-risk populations and underserved communities. The girls at New Village Girls Academy are no different than girls at any other high school in the US. Sure. They face some particularly tough, daunting, and sometimes tragic circumstances. But just like all other adolescents, they have massive reserves of energy, imagination, and curiosity, and the desire to be more, to achieve more, and to have fun doing it. The Transcendental Meditation technique is a delightful little tool that helps them get there. Accompanying me today is a strong young woman who is also an accomplished artist and spoken word poet. She's going to share her own experience on TM, as well as a poem on the theme of today's conference, bodies and being human. Please meet Stephanie Guerrero.
My hands are really cold right now. My name's Stephanie, and before I begin, I just want to say I love TED Talks. Like, I could stand up here and talk to you guys about how much I love TED Talks and why, but that's probably not the point of a TED Talk. Although, in my opinion, I think that'd be pretty cool, right? But anyways, 2 years ago, I would have never imagined myself standing up in front of a crowd and speaking or even introducing myself to a class. But here I am, and they gave me really good pep talks back there, so I can't go back. They were like, "You own that stage," and I was like, "All right." So Naomi did a really good job at really telling us how much of an impact TM can have in one's life. So I'm just gonna briefly describe my own personal experience with TM and then share my poem. So I learned TM when I was in 9th grade at New Village Girls Academy, and I'm a junior now. So when it was introduced to me, I pretty much just rolled with it because personally I think any tool that is given to you that might improve the quality of your life, you should take it because first of all, who doesn't want to improve the quality of their life? And second of all, why not? And so I did, I learned it, and I rolled with it. And I'm not going to say that I was always consistent with it, and I still miss some meditation sometimes now, but I can tell you that it's the best tool I have in my life right now because I can carry it everywhere I go all the time. And the cool thing about it is that as a very, introverted person, if you can't tell, I get my energy from being alone. And that's not to say that I don't like people, because I love people, and getting to spend a few days here in North Carolina makes me realize how much I love people and how moved and inspired and motivated I constantly am by people. So with that being said, my favorite thing about TM is that I can get that solitude without my criticism and anxiety and shakiness and, that neuroses of mine. It's pretty much just, it gives me a silence that is free. It's just quiet. Just quiet. I should have started with that. It's just quiet. I think that's the simplest way I can put it. So I'm going to recite you my very preachy poem now. If I would have known being human was going to be so goddamn hard, I would have been told my mom not to give birth to me. Being human, but also being what society, aka other humans, say, think, want me to be, while finding the strength to say, think, be who I want to be. It's a kaleidoscope of wrongs and rights, decided by, that's right, you guessed it, other humans. Every day our lives are molded by the bodies we're born into. Our vulnerabilities as humans are altered by our skin color, shape, size, race, culture, ability, sexuality, gender. The simplicity of being me, of being a living, breathing thing, has ceased to exist. We've evolved, at least some humans say we have, but being a living, breathing thing is underrated. That simplicity of being human is no longer valuable unless it's artificial and pleasant, whatever that means. It's being human, but not existing. Not existing because my humanity gets recognition by the body I was born into. Being human has its limitations. We can't fly. We don't have super strength or laser vision. We can't breathe underwater, and we definitely cannot walk on water, unless you're Jesus. But we can accept one another and help one another, acknowledge each other's differences, not make each other into something more convenient, more comfortable for society or for ourselves. We can throw gender norms out the window, along with systems of oppression and those goddamn microaggressions. Oh, Stephanie, you look so much prettier if you shaved your armpits. Thanks, Dad. But it will mean we have to make the choice, and being able to choose is our superpower. Now I'm gonna get off stage because I'm preaching love, and I don't know how it is out here in the East Coast, but I don't wanna get shot or labeled a hippie by other humans. Thank you.